Prologue. Not a shadow stirred in the hallway. Darius strained his senses to their limit, alert to any hint of movement. But the soft breeze that fluttered through the open windows at the end of this hallway only carried the sense of flowing water and the sweet smell of jasmine. No sounds. Good. He didn't expect a patrol to come through here for another hour or so, giving him plenty of time to enact the second part of his plan. Quietly, he stole through the opposite doorway, pushing the door open noiselessly. This room was an exact replica from the one he had just left. A gigantic bed dominated the center of the area. Expensive rugs covered the floor, and floor-to-ceiling windows opened on either side to allow the cool night air through. In the center of the bed lay Prince Barris, although he didn't look like much of a prince with his fair hair tangled around his head and a leg sticking out over the edge of the bed. Apparently, the prince was not an elegant sleeper. Darius strode directly to the bed and laid a hand against the prince's shoulder, shaking him awake. "My prince." With a start, Barris awoke, half flailing as his eyes flew open. When he realized who leaned over him, relief flooded his features. Alarm followed just as quickly, and he sat up more fully. "General, what is amiss?" Darius didn't answer him immediately. He couldn't. What he would say next was tantamount to a death sentence. But he had made his choice. He could not regret his actions, so it was not possible to regret the consequences. With a deep breath, he sought for the courage that had brought him through every campaign in his career to carry him through the next several hours. Strangely, he wished in that moment he wore the Brindisi uniform instead of these casual clothes. He also rather wished he had properly armed himself instead of just grabbing a dagger to kill the king with. Reporting death seemed wrong somehow when he was unarmed and out of uniform. He sank to one knee next to the bed and stared sightlessly at the thick carpet under him for a long moment before he could force his head back up. Moistening his lips, he opened his mouth and forced out the words. "Prince Barris, I have come to report to you that the king is dead." The color drained from Barris's face, as if the god of death were draining life from him. "Gods preserve us! How?" "I killed him." Barris stared at him for a long moment, as if Darius's words didn't make any sense. Maybe for a moment they didn't. Then the reality sank in, and his eyes closed in a gesture of understanding and resignation. "Because of the oath you two exchanged. You killed him for breaking it." "Yes." Darius didn't know what else to say. "Gods, Darius!" Barris raised his hands to rub roughly at his eyes. "I don't suppose I can blame you in a way. He swore to protect Brindisi, and yet his blind ambition and greed led to the capital being laid to waste. Because of that oath, you had every right to kill him, but why, by the gods, are you reporting to me after you've done the deed?" Barris abruptly sat up and grasped Darius by the shoulders, eyes begging for understanding. "Don't you know that as the new king, I have to have you executed for this?" "I know," Darius assured him quietly. "But I am not above the law. Oath or not, I do not have the right to kill a king without consequences befalling me." Taking in another breath, he stared into the prince's wide eyes and prayed that this would be the last time he would have to say this. "Prince Barris, I have killed your father, the king. My last command to you as your mentor is this. Be a better king than he was. Do not repeat his mistakes." Barris had been his student for nearly 5 years. The pain on his face Darius well understood, and it hurt his heart to know that he had caused it. But Barris proved that he had indeed learned everything he should. After a deep breath, he blinked away the tears standing in his eyes and ordered with a shaky breath. "Darius Breslier, I order you to live. As the new king of this Sovran, I cannot stay my hand of execution. but as your friend, I can give you an hour's head start. Go!" Darius jerked back in surprise. "Barris, what are you saying? You can't—" "That man broke 2 oaths with you," Barris interrupted harshly, "both of which cost this Sovran dearly. He needed to be punished. Am I to ignore this? You taught me that justice crosses all boundaries of class and station, Darius. The world is not fair enough to always do this, but I can certainly try. Go, Darius. Live." He felt like he should argue somehow, but Barris clearly meant the command. So he slowly gained his feet, heart pumping in renewed hope. But he couldn't leave without saying one more thing. "Long live King Barris." Barris managed to smile, although it was bittersweet. "You too, my friend. May the gods open up another path for you to walk upon." Darius bowed deeply one last time to his king, and then spun on his heel, melting back into the darkness.